Okay, so get ready because we're about to do a deep dive on Bad Bunny's DtMF today.
Hmm.
We got a bunch of stuff from you guys, the music video, some like really in-depth analysis pieces, and we are here to try to figure out why this song is causing such a stir.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't heard DtMF yet, stick with us because this is about so much more than just music. We've got the video transcript, a whole study guide that's dedicated to the song's themes, and even a summary article.
Wow. It's pretty amazing how one song can get people thinking so deeply, right? I mean, it seems like DTMF is really hitting a nerve with people.
It really is.
Hmm.
The themes of like nostalgia and regret, those are pretty universal, but then you add this whole other layer of like Puerto Rican identity that's woven into the music.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder everyone is talking about this. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, let's start with like those opening lines of the song. Where Bad Bunny paints this really vivid picture of life in San Juan. He
Yeah.
talks about, like the warm nights that those who have left miss so much.
Yeah.
It's like he's taking us right there to that place and time.
Right. Yeah, the imagery is so strong. He even mentions 11 beautiful women enjoying, all the stuff that people who have left San Juan miss. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder, what is it about San Juan that makes people feel this way,
Yeah.
especially for those who aren't there anymore?
Well, you had to think about it. San Juan, it's not just a city. It's like the heart of Puerto Rico, a place where history and culture and this like vibrant energy all come together. And for so many, it represents like a connection to their roots, their heritage, a way of life that's hard to find anywhere else.
I can see it. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that feeling of longing, that nostalgia,
Yeah.
it really sets the stage for like the whole song. It's like we're already feeling kind of wistful before the song even gets to the chorus.
Exactly. And speaking of the chorus, you can't ignore that main phrase that keeps coming back. Debí tirar más fotos. I should have taken more photos.
Yeah, that line really grabs you. I mean, at first it seems pretty simple, but when you hear it over and over in the song, you realize it's got to be about way more than just like taking pictures.
Right. It becomes this really strong metaphor for regret. And not just regret about not taking enough actual photos, but like regret about missing opportunities to really embrace, those special moments with loved ones, those moments that don't last forever.
So it's like he's saying, I was so busy living life, I totally forgot to like capture those moments.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic in a way, right?
Yeah.
Especially these days when it seems like everybody's always documenting everything on social media.
Yeah.
It's like we're afraid to actually like experience something unless we get a photo of it.
Oh, that's a great point. And it kind of speaks to this bigger societal thing, that fear of missing out, that worry we get when we think we're not, living life to the fullest. DTMF is really tapping into that tension between really living and just, documenting our lives.
So it's like the song is giving us permission to like put down our phones for a minute and just actually be in the world around us.
Exactly. And to like appreciate those little moments, those simple ways we connect with people that we probably take for granted way too often. I mean, remember what Bad Bunny specifically says he regrets? Not giving enough kisses and hugs when he could.
Yeah, he literally says, "Más beso y abrazo las veces que pude."
Yeah.
And that really hits you hard. It's like he's saying, hey, forget about the fancy cars and all the expensive stuff. That stuff doesn't last. The important things are the love we share, the people we care about.
Yes, exactly. And that connects perfectly to another line where he says, Estamos para las cosas que valgan la pena. Like he's reminding us to pay attention to the things that truly matter, real connection, shared experiences, those simple moments when we feel happy. It's a huge message, especially when it seems like the world cares more about money and things than anything else.
Yeah. And it's not just about like romantic relationships. He's talking about family too.
Mm.
Especially in that part where he talks about playing dominoes with his grandfather.
Right. He sings about wanting to just spend the whole day with his grandfather playing dominoes. It's such a simple image, but it really gets to you emotionally.
Yeah, totally. You can feel the love and respect he has for his grandfather just in that one line. It's such a pure expression of family.
And it also speaks to how important tradition is in Puerto Rican culture. I mean, dominoes is like a classic game people play with family and friends. So it represents their shared heritage, that sense of community that runs deep.
It's funny, when you think about that scene with his grandfather and then we were just talking about, social media, FOMO, all that.
Yeah.
Here's Bad Bunny, this huge global superstar, and he's expressing this deep longing for something as simple as playing dominoes with his grandfather. It's like he's reminding us that the really important connections aren't online. They're in those face-to-face moments. The kind of things that get passed down through generations.
That's a really good point. It's like he's saying, don't get so caught up in the online world that you forget about how beautiful and important real human connection is.
Yeah. And that connection to family and tradition, it feels like that's at the heart of what DTMF is all about.
Hmm.
But then there's this other side to the song too, right? Like
Yeah.
these kind of darker elements that keep popping up. There's stuff about alcohol, drugs, even street life. It's like there's a shadow hanging over all the nostalgia and celebration.
Yeah, you're right. There is a complexity to the song that we should talk about. It's not all sunshine and dominoes, you know. Bad Bunny isn't pretending like life is always easy. I mean, he even sings, Mi lenquita, perico, mi kilo. You know, talking about a speedboat, cocaine, a kilo of drugs.
Yeah, that line's kind of jarring the first time you hear it. It makes you wonder, what is he trying to say here? Is he like clarifying that lifestyle?
I don't think he's glorifying it at all. Remember, this whole song is about regret and longing for something more meaningful. I think what he's doing is showing the temptations and struggles that we all face in life, you know, even those people who seem to have it all.
So it's like he's saying, even with all the fame and success, he still has those dark times when he feels lost or needs to escape. And maybe it's those times he ends up regretting the most.
That's a really interesting take. And it goes back to what we were saying before about vulnerability. Bad Bunny isn't trying to act like he's perfect and untouchable. He's being real, showing us his flaws and struggles, which just makes the song even more relatable, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it also makes that need for connection even stronger throughout the song. Even when he's in those dark places, he still wants those strong relationships. He wants the love and support of his family and friends.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, even when I mess up, even when I go down the wrong road, I still need my people. They're what keep me grounded. They remind me what's really important.
And that brings us to another really interesting part of the song. The way Bad Bunny weaves in those traditional Puerto Rican musical styles like salsa bomba and plena. Can you tell us a little bit more about what those genres mean and why he might have decided to include them?
Sure. I mean, those genres, they're not just music, you know? They're expressions of Puerto Rican history, culture, their resilience, like salsa with its rhythms and call and response vocals is all about energy and connection. Bomba, which started in the sugarcane fields, is this powerful mix of drumming dance and storytelling, and it's often used to express resistance and freedom. And then plena, it's like the musical newspaper of the people you know. It tells stories about everyday life events, social commentary, all through its lyrics.
So by using these elements, Bad Bunny's not just making a catchy song, he's paying tribute to his heritage, the sounds that shaped who he is.
Exactly. And it's not just a nostalgic look back at the past either. I think he's using these musical traditions to say something deeper, you know,
Yeah.
about how important it is to stay connected to your roots, especially in a world that's constantly changing.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, this is me, this is where I come from, and I'm not going to forget it no matter what happens in my life.
Exactly. And that pride in his heritage is really powerful, you know, especially when you think about all the challenges Puerto Rico has been through in recent years.
You mean all the economic issues, the natural disasters, the political problems? All that stuff must really weigh heavily on the minds of Puerto Ricans, both on the island and those who have moved away.
It does. And I think DTMF kind of taps into that shared anxiety, that
Oh,
fear
yeah.
of losing your culture, your identity, when everything feels so uncertain.
But at the same time, there's this message of hope and resilience too, right? It's like
Mm.
he's saying, yeah, we've been through a lot, but we're still here. We're still strong, and we're not going to let go of who we are.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it shows how powerful music can be to bring people together, to give them comfort and strength when things are tough.
You know, it makes me think about that line in the song where Bad Bunny says, Ojalá que los míos nunca se muden, like, I hope my people never move. It's like he's afraid of losing those connections,
Yeah.
of seeing his loved ones scattered to different places.
Yes. And that feeling of wanting to hold on to the people and places that make you who you are, that's something so many people feel regardless of their background. We all want that feeling of belonging, of being rooted in something bigger than ourselves.
And in a way, I think that's what DTMF offers to people who listen to it. It's a reminder that even in a world that's constantly changing, even when we mess up or feel lost, we can always find our way back to what truly matters. Those connections to family, to tradition, to the places and experiences that make us who we are.
That's a great insight. And it makes me think about that last scene in the music video where Bad Bunny invites everyone to be in a group photo with him.
You mean when he says, Vamos para la foto, vengan para acá, me todo mundo, todo corillo, vamos. It's such a fun, energetic way to end the song. But it also feels symbolic, like he's bringing everyone together in this moment of unity and celebration.
Absolutely. It's like he's saying, let's capture this moment, this feeling of being together, not just with a camera, but with our hearts. And it's an invitation that goes way beyond the music video, beyond the song itself. He's inviting all of us to cherish those times when we feel connected in our own lives, to appreciate the people who make life worth living.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful message. And it's funny how that last scene with the photo ties right back to one of the big themes of the song, the idea of taking more photos.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. It's like
Yeah.
he's saying, okay, yeah, maybe I didn't take enough pictures before, but let's capture this moment now, all of us together.
Exactly. It's all about realizing how much those shared moments mean, those memories, and wanting to hold on to them, not just for ourselves, but for the people we love too. And maybe it goes even deeper than just photos, right? Maybe it's more about just being present in the moment, being more aware of the time we're spending with people we care about.
That's deep. It's like this song is asking us, what are the photos we should be taking in our own lives? Are we so caught up in everything else that we're missing what's right in front of us?
It's true. Sometimes it feels like we're more worried about getting that perfect Instagram picture than actually enjoying what's happening right now.
Exactly. And this isn't just something that's happening now. This whole thing about experiencing life versus documenting it, it's been going on forever. Think about all those amazing paintings and sculptures from way back when. They were all trying to capture a moment, a feeling, an idea that wouldn't last.
That's a great point. It's like art, no matter what kind it is a way of trying to hold on to things we know we can't keep forever.
And maybe that's what DTMF is really trying to teach us. It's not about getting stuck in the past or wishing we had done things differently. It's about appreciating what we have right now, cherishing the people in our life, and making the most of every moment.
It's realizing that life is just a bunch of little moments that come and go, and it's our job to make those moments count.
Well said. It's interesting how DTMF is like a snapshot of Puerto Rican culture. It makes you think, what photos should WE be taking so we don't have regrets later? What are we missing out on right now?
That's a really good question, and it's one that we each have to answer for ourselves.
Yeah.
As we've been talking, I've been thinking about how connected this song is to Bad Bunny's heritage. We talked about the music, the salsa bomba plena, but it goes beyond just the sounds. The video is full of images that represent Puerto Rican culture, the colors, the scenes of everyday life, the way he interacts with his family and friends.
Right. It's like he's creating this visual tapestry of what it means to be Puerto Rican. All these pieces woven together to show a really complete and complex picture of where he comes from.
And it's not just a celebration either.
All right.
There's a feeling of sadness, too, like something has been lost. You see it in those scenes where he sings about people moving away or those shots of empty buildings and streets.
You're right. It shows how complicated the Puerto Rican experience is, both for people who live on the island and those who have moved away. There's pride and joy in their culture, but also a knowledge of all the tough times they've been through, the economic struggles, the natural disasters, the political chaos.
And how all of that has pushed so many people to leave their homes to try to find a better life.
Yeah, exactly. And being forced to leave your home, being caught between two worlds, that's got to be incredibly hard. It's something a lot of Puerto Ricans, especially those living away from the island, deal with all the time.
So DTMF becomes like an anthem for those who have left, a reminder of all the things they miss, the people they want to be close to again.
It's a song that speaks to what it means to be Puerto Rican, both for those who stayed and those who left. And it reminds us that even though they might be far apart physically, they're still connected by their shared history, their culture, their roots.
It's amazing how music can close those gaps, how it can create a sense of unity and belonging even when people are thousands of miles apart.
It really is. And I think that's one of the reasons why DTMF has touched so many people so deeply. It speaks to that basic human need to connect, to feel a sense of belonging, to long for a time and a place that might be gone but will never be forgotten.
It's interesting to think about how this song fits into all of Bad Bunny's work. He's known for pushing limits, for challenging the rules both musically and culturally.
No, absolutely. He isn't afraid to experiment with different sounds, to blend genres, to bring in elements of his Puerto Rican heritage in ways you wouldn't expect.
And he's not afraid to say what he thinks about politics and social issues either. He uses his fame to speak up against injustice and inequality.
He's definitely not your average pop star. He's an artist who uses his music to say something, to start conversations, to shake things up a bit.
And I think that's what makes him so interesting. He's not just entertaining us. He's making us think. He's encouraging us to look at the world in new ways,
It's interesting when you compare Bad Bunny to some of the other big music stars out there today. A lot of them seem more focused on building a brand, creating an image, than on making art that really means something.
It's true. With
Hmm.
Bad Bunny, you get the feeling that he's being genuine, that he's not trying to be someone he's not, even if it means upsetting some people along the way.
Yeah, and that's what makes people connect with him. They see themselves in his music and his struggles and his successes. He's not just some famous person, he's a real person sharing his life with the world.
And that's powerful, especially now when we're surrounded by images of perfection and beauty that are impossible to achieve.
It's great to see an artist who's not afraid to let people see his weaknesses, to show his flaws, to just be himself with all his complexities, and that's what makes his music so relatable, I think.
It's like he's giving us permission to be ourselves, to be okay with our imperfections, to celebrate what makes us unique.
And that message connects with people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your culture is, what language you speak.
We've talked a lot about the themes of nostalgia and regret in DtMF,
Yeah.
but there's a strong sense of hope in there too. Those parts where he sings about the future, about his dreams for a better world.
Right. He talks about wanting to see his loved ones do well, about hoping for a brighter future for Puerto Rico. It's like he knows the past has been painful, but he's choosing to look ahead to what's possible.
It's inspiring, but it's also a challenge. It's a call for all of us to do our part in building a better world for ourselves and for future generations.
And it's especially relevant now with everything going on in the world, climate change, social injustice, political divisions. It's easy to feel hopeless, to just give up. But Bad Bunny's music reminds us that we can't lose hope. We have to keep fighting for what we believe in, keep working towards a better future, even when it feels like it's impossible.
It's amazing to think about how much Bad Bunny has changed the music industry, pop culture, the world even.
Yeah.
He's come such a long way from where he started in Puerto Rico.
He really has. And his success shows how talented he is, how hard he works, and how dedicated he is to his vision.
He's broken down so many barriers, defied
Mm.
expectations, inspired countless people along the way.
And he's done it all while staying true to himself, his roots, his culture.
It's really an incredible story. And it reminds us that anything is possible if you're brave enough to dream big and if you're willing to put in the work to make your dreams come true.
And if you're not afraid to be yourself, to celebrate what makes you unique, to use your voice to fight for what you believe in.
I think that's a great message for our listeners. But before we go, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier, the idea of DtMF being like a cultural photograph.
Oh, yeah. It's really fascinating to think about how this song captures a specific moment in time, not just for Bad Bunny, but for Puerto Rico, for the Latinx community, for everyone.
It's like a time capsule, isn't it? Preserving the music and images of this time, but also the feelings, the worries, the hopes and dreams of this generation.
And it makes you wonder, what will people think about this song in the future? How will they understand its message? What will it tell them about us, about who we were, about what was important to us?
Those are some great questions. And it's something for all of you listening to think about as you keep exploring the song and all its layers of meaning.
It's crazy how much we've talked about from just one song.
I know, right? It just goes to show how powerful music can be to get people talking, to challenge how we see things, to help us understand ourselves and the world around us better. Wow, it's kind of mind-blowing how much depth and meaning you can pack into like 3 minutes and 43 seconds of music. Who knew a Bad Bunny song could lead to such a deep dive?
It really shows you how talented he is, doesn't it? Bad Bunny's not just making catchy songs. He's creating these experiences that make you feel, think, and reflect.
As we've been talking, I keep coming back to that line, de BTR más photos. I should have taken more photos, but it's hitting me differently now. It's less about actually taking pictures and more about being present in those important moments. What do you think?
Oh, totally. I think he's challenging all of us, to ask ourselves, what are the photos we should be taking in our own lives? Are we so busy trying to document our experiences that we're forgetting to really enjoy them?
It's like we're more worried about getting the perfect Instagram post than we are about the beauty that's happening right in front of us.
Exactly. And this isn't a new thing either. This whole idea of trying to capture a moment versus actually living it, that's been going on for ages. Think about all those incredible paintings and sculptures from the past. They were all trying to capture a moment, a feeling, an idea that wouldn't last.
That's a really good point. It's like art in all its forms is just a way of trying to hold on to the things we know we can't keep forever.
And maybe that's the real message of DTMF. It's not about dwelling on the past or regretting missed opportunities. It's about being grateful for what we have now, appreciating the people in our lives, and making the most of our time.
It's about recognizing that life is just a bunch of moments that come and go,
Yeah.
and we get to decide how those moments matter.
Well said. You know what's really interesting? How DTMF is like a cultural snapshot. It makes you think, what photos should we be taking now so we don't regret things later? What moments are we missing right now?
That's a big question,
Yeah.
and one that we all need to figure out for ourselves, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. I can't believe how much we've unpacked just from this one song.
I know, right?
It really goes to show you how powerful music can be to get people talking, to challenge how we see things, to help us understand ourselves and the world around us a little bit better.
Huh.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did. Go check out DtMF if you haven't already, and let us know what photos you're inspired to take in your own life. Until next time.